Well, fears of a potential economic slowdown are clouding the outlook for value stock, which has outperformed other indexes amid high inflation and rising interest rates. And this comes after Bank of America predicts that we'll reach a mild recession in the second half of the year. So with us now to discuss this is Akane Ohtani. She is a markets reporter for the Wall Street Journal. Thanks a lot for joining us. So first question, Bank of America recently forecasted a mild recession and cuts the S&P 500 outlook to 3,600. What's your initial reaction to this forecast?
Well, Bank of America is actually just the latest bank to revise their forecasts to show a little bit more of a pessimistic view of what we should expect. In fact, we actually saw Nomura, a Japanese investment bank, as well as Deutsche Bank forecast recessions for later this year as well. And Goldman Sachs, their top economist, is saying probably about a 50-50 chance of a recession. So quite a number of banks have gotten more pessimistic, especially considering where we were 6-7 months ago when the view was, I would say, considerably more optimistic among Wall Street firms for the economy.
So then, that's what the Wall Street firms are saying. But then there's, how people feel. A recent study from the University of Michigan surveys of consumers found that Americans are feeling slightly better about the economy. That's despite the inflation. And that number rose 51.1% in July from a record low of 50%. It's not huge last month. But what factors could be fueling this sort of slight preliminary optimism? I mean, gas prices are going down.
Right. And President Biden had noted just a few days ago that nationally we've seen gas prices fall about 40 cents per gallon. So that's got to be, a big change for a lot of Americans who are relying on their cars every day to drive to work, drive to school, drive to the grocery store. But of course, that being said, as you note, this reading wasn't that outstandingly optimistic. Actually, June's reading was a record low for consumer sentiment. So, Americans may be feeling a touch better as they see gas prices ease up a little bit. And hopefully as gas prices continue to fall, if they do, that should have more of an effect on their inflation expectations and overall confidence. But I think overall what we're seeing is a lot of Americans are quite uncertain and pessimistic about the economy, just given where inflation has been hitting their pocketbooks and how rising interest rates have been affecting them as well.
Can we talk a little bit about small businesses? I mean, we saw when we were sort of at the height of the recession, it really was those small businesses that were hit the hardest and the fastest. And the bigger businesses, often getting big checks from the government, were able to stay afloat. Can you talk about the fears that small businesses face when we talk recession, even a mild one?
A lot of small businesses have been saying that they're quite concerned about what lies ahead. A recent survey we saw about a third of businesses are saying they're actually already seeing higher prices affect demands for their goods and services. And more than a third of small businesses are also seeing the effects of supply chain issues, which of course got a lot worse after the beginning of the pandemic and have still persisted for many small businesses. And you compare that to a large corporation that has a much bigger balance sheet and more padding. They also have different markets that they operate in, not just the U.S., but internationally. And it's easy to understand why a lot of small businesses are nervous at this time, especially just having gone through the pandemic and the crash that followed that. So I think what the small businesses are saying is it's interesting to watch, right? I mean, who's right here, the small businesses or large corporations, which overall, if you look at their earnings estimates and what CEOs have been saying, have been a lot more optimistic about the rest of the year. It seems like one or the other is probably more consistent with the overall picture of the economy. And what we'll see in the next couple of months will be really interesting.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Hopefully good interesting, though. Well, we don't like bad interesting. Akane Ohtani, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.